Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. Joining me in studio today is Jonathan Voico.
Hello, everybody.
Writer, director, producer, Robert Meyer Burnett.
How you doing?
And most importantly, hopefully you guys are still here. Thank you so much for being here, making our little show part of your day. And here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a number of predetermined topics we got lined up for you guys. Then in the second part of the show is when we take your live comments and questions. If you have a thought, theory, opinion, question, or topic you'd like us to discuss, as long as we deem it appropriate to be addressed on the show, go ahead and fire it on into our tip link at www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. And here's the good news about the tip link. It's actually good 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if you happen to be listening to the show on a podcast feed, say either on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, by the way, go and sign up to our podcast feed. Or if you're watching this show a little bit later in the day when we're not live, you can still send in a question. And if you send one in when we're not live, we'll just get around to answering it on the next episode. All right, guys. That all down. We got a bunch of stuff we need to talk about here today, so let's get things started with this. One of my all-time favorite movies. The movie that holds, I believe, the single funniest moment in movie history is Spaceballs. Now, Lone Star, you'll see that evil will always triumph because good is dumb. I still think it's the funniest moment ever. I've never laughed harder in a movie, probably never will. Now, you guys remember there was news a while ago that they were going to try to do Spaceballs 2. We got all excited, but we haven't really heard anything about it since and started kind of doubt. Well, now there's big news about Spaceballs 2. As Deadline is now reporting that Lone Star, Bill Pullman, and Dark Helmet himself, who has been retired from acting on screen for decades, Rick Moranis, are both returning for Spaceballs 2, and Keke Palmer, I like her a lot, is also joining it. The folks at Deadline wrote the following. Bill Pullman and Rick Moranis are set to reprise their respective roles as Lone Star and Dark Helmet in the new Spaceballs movie from Amazon MGM Studios, with Keke Palmer from One of Them Days joining the cast, sources tell Deadline. Amazon declined to comment on the character details for Palmer as it's under wraps, as is the sequel's plot. The addition of Moranis is particularly striking, as the good Canadian kid and actor hasn't been seen much on screen for decades. As announced this morning, the original film's director and star, Mel Brooks, will also be featured in the cast, once again reprising his role as Yogurt. Slated for release in theaters in 2027, the film has been described by those who have not yet read the script as a non-prequel, non-reboot sequel part 2, but with reboot elements franchise expansion film. Which, I mean, that seems to be all the craze these days, is those ones. That's great. All right. Number of things jump out at me here. Number one, committed to theatrical. Super glad about that. I don't know that Spaceballs 2 is going to make a lot of money. I'm just being honest with you, but I will be there, and I will be there to watch it in theaters. Number two, I think Keke Palmer's great. So I'm kind of excited she's on there. Number three is, and Jonathan and I were talking about this morning, Mel Brooks is coming back. You best shoot soon. I mean, Mel Brooks is 98 years old. You know, we were talking about how amazing is it that he is 98 and still so sharp that he is still literally writing and producing. Like, he's still completely sharp and still going to come back and play Yogurt again. I'm excited about that. I think that's great. But again, the headline story here is Bill Pullman and of course, Rick Moranis, who the only thing I've seen Rick Moranis in lately, Rob, was he agreed to do a commercial with Ryan Reynolds for Mint Mobile as a fellow Canadian. That was it. That's the first time I've seen him on a screen in like forever. So I couldn't be more excited about this. I'm hesitant to call historically Spaceballs a spoof film. It is in a way, but it's also just its own, more of a slapstick comedy than anything else. But still, it's one of my favorites of all time, obviously because I'm also pretty predisposed to Star Wars. Sadly, of course, John Candy won't be returning as Bartholomew. Coincidentally, we're just talking about Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds' new documentary about John Candy.
Oh, I want to see that.
Coming out at TIFF.
Yeah. I Like Me.
Yeah, I like me. I'm very excited. We've been talking about that for years. I'm
Mhm.
looking forward to seeing that one too. Anyway, Rob, Spaceballs 2, The Search for More Money is indeed finally coming. Which part of this news kind of stands out to you the most?
Well, all of it means that we're going to get a movie that's better than The Rise of Skywalker.
Yes.
And that makes
undoubtedly
me happy. But I will bet you $1 million, John, that John Candy will return as some kind of an AI Force ghost, and they will make a joke out of it.
I don't know if they'll do that.
They've got to do it. They've got it. Come on, if Harold Ramis can come back in a Ghostbusters sequel.
I mean, wouldn't people be screaming that would be disrespectful?
No,
No.
because they'll turn it into that's will be the point.
Not if his family trust is behind
Yeah.
it. Like
Yeah.
if they,
That's true. If John Candy's family comes in
Yeah.
and says, "Yeah, we
We've
want you to do this,"
so-
Don
seen
would
the-
love it.
We've seen the script. We know what they're trying to do here. He would love it. Yeah.
What was the name of Lone Star's ship again? The Winnebago?
Oh.
I can't remember what the name of it was, but you know he's going to have some kind of portrait of Barf in there somewhere,
Of course,
something like
of
that.
course.
Yeah.
But there's got to be some kind of commuting with a Force ghost. But look, for the people that love this franchise, and I think the video announcement they made, the YouTube video that had the text,
Yeah.
that was funny.
Yeah, it
I mean
was.
that was really really funny. And
Eagle 5.
Eagle 5 was the
Eagle
name
5.
of the
and
Winnebago,
if they can maintain that level of humor, I think bring it on.
It's
and
hard because doing that kind of humor today is. I haven't seen anybody do that kind of humor today. As a matter of fact, it's the only thing that I'm a little bit nervous about the new Liam Neeson Police Squad movie because it looks hilarious, but I haven't seen anybody do that kind of comedy today very well. So I'm a little nervous about that.
If this works, maybe Mel Brooks will make a sequel to Blazing Saddles.
I'd be all
because
for it.
we really need that today.
Yes, we do.
But no, I think this is great news. And again, it's another great move by Amazon MGM. I mean, I really love seeing this. They're really having fun with it. After seeing the fact that they're leaning into Masters of the Universe and what we saw at CinemaCon is very exciting. The fact that they're doing this, I mean, they're between Project Hail Mary, which is my most eagerly awaited movie of the next 2 years, and what they are doing, Crime 101, the Don Winslow adaptation with Chris Hemsworth. I am so excited by what they're doing over at MGM.
They definitely
Amazon.
had one of the most interesting presentations at the
100%.
CinemaCon this year.
And they're committed to theatrical, and the fact that they're doing this, I mean, like we've seen Axel F, we saw Coming to America 2. None of these movies, they were all streaming, direct to streaming. I think there is when you're making a theatrical movie,
Right.
a movie that's going to be in theaters, philosophically, there's going to be a way people, I think, change the way that you're shooting differently, you're thinking
right.
differently, knowing this is going to go before an audience. And I think that that's really great for this. And you know what? We don't get many comedies theatrically anymore.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I hope it's good.
I'm so stoked for this. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Bill Pullman and Rick Moranis are coming back as Lone Star and Dark Helmet. The movie is coming in 2027, so they say it's going to be theatrical. What are you most looking forward to about it? Have you even seen the original Spaceballs? It's an older film. I know probably a bunch of you guys haven't seen it yet. It's awesome. Anyway, whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? There is a big thing that's been going around for years, ever since the first Batman movie came out, which is, hey, where's the Batman movie? Where's the Batman's equal? It's been how many years now since that thing came out? 3 or 4 since the Batman came out? It's been a while at any rate.
Came out in 22.
In 22.
3.
So we're now like 3 years in since that movie came out, and we still don't have a script. And we thought the script had been turned in because you remember a while ago there was that big story that Memorial Day in May last month that Matt Reeves was going to be turning in at least the first draft of the script. Well, James Gunn has just confirmed that they still don't have a script. It still hasn't been turned in. This comes to us from Superhero Hype, right? Despite multiple release date delays, The Batman Part 2 is still on the way and has just received a new update from DC Studios co-CEO James Gunn. Despite DC Studios launching a new shared universe, simply dubbed the DC Universe, the company will still have to make the occasional standalone Elseworld projects that will take place in its own self-contained world, which of course is great, and I'm super looking forward to that. Says this, speaking with Entertainment Weekly about the first DCU movie, the upcoming David Cornsweet-led Superman, James Gunn offered a brief update on the status of the Batman Part 2, sharing, quote, "What Matt's doing is still really important, despite all the stories to the contrary. We're supposed to see the script shortly. I can't wait." We're supposed to see the script shortly. I can't wait. Which means last month, when we all got excited about finally there's turning in the script on Memorial Day. Oh, they still haven't turned in the script. And we still don't have it. And it's been years and years. And now, one of the other things, too, that I think might get lost in this mix is, a lot of people saying, James Gunn doesn't want the Batman. It's like, idiots. You do know James Gunn is the CEO, right? Like, if James Gunn didn't want the Batman, he would just say, we're moving on from the Batman. Done. He doesn't have to get anybody's approval. He doesn't have to get anybody's permission. He's the CEO, with Peter Safran, of course. If they decide they didn't want it, they would just not do it. It's just that simple. But he's still out there saying, no, listen, what Matt's doing, contrary to popular belief, is still really important to their plans. But we still don't have a script. And you know what? I am now to the point that it's going to kind of be like Blade to me now. I'll believe it when I see it. Again, look, there's been a lot of, and we've talked about a little bit on this show as well. There's been some chat and discussion that there may be some issues going on with Matt Reeves, like personal issues that may be going on with Matt Reeves, that are his to deal with and stuff like that. And maybe that's causing the delays, whatever. We've talked for a long time, Rob, that Matt Reeves does have before this, has had a bit of a rep that he takes his time. That's the diplomatic way of saying it. He's slow. He moves slowly. He often misses deadlines. Now, we don't care as long as he's ultimately delivering product like the Batman, which was amazing. So I don't know. I'm kind of discouraged to hear that they still don't have a script. They're still saying, oh, it's coming soon. It's coming soon. It's coming soon. They've been saying it forever. I don't know, Rob, are you surprised to hear this? Like, what's your takeaway from this?
No, I mean, it's like you said, it's like Parmesan wine. We will sell no wine before it's time. I mean, I think that, look, writing scripts can go fast. They can go slow. I think in the case, Matt Reeves has a lot. The first Batman was quite good. I mean, I think all of us would say that it was very unique. It had great acting. It was beautifully shot. It had an incredible feel to it.
Yeah, I loved it. I had a great time.
I did too. And I watched a lot on disc, and they've done an incredible job. I think if anything, the Penguin caused them to even the pressure is even higher now
because Penguin was just next level.
It was incredible. So you now have the Batman and Penguin, and this will be a follow-up to both of those things. So I think the pressure to come up with a script that isn't just, oh, the script's good. It has to be effing great. I mean, the script has to be amazing. Otherwise, they're not. And they're competing against the rest of the DC universe. But here's the thing. I think that I would imagine they're going to get it in soon. And when they do get it in, it's going to be something really special. And I don't understand this idea. Look, when I was growing up reading comics and going to the comic book store every week, I was reading like 6 different Batman comics. And I've said this before, but Batman and the Outsiders was drawn by Jim Aparo, and it was really goofy. But it was very different than the main Batman book, which was different than Frank Miller doing The Dark Knight Returns. So I don't think there's any confusion in the marketplace when people go see Matt Reeves, the Batman 2, and then turn around and go see whatever the Brave and the Bold's going to be or Batman and Robin's going to be over in the DC universe. People will know. They'll understand. I mean, we had Never Say Never Again and Octopussy coming out in 1983, 2 different James Bond movies, one with Sean Connery and one with Roger Moore, in the same year. And back then, people weren't like, I don't get it. They went, it's James Bond.
Yeah, everybody says it's going to confuse the audience. It's not going to confuse the audience. If there's anything, well, wait a minute, I thought this was Batman. Oh yeah, this is like a totally separate thing. Oh, okay. It's not that difficult. Everybody thinks that the slightest chewing gum and walking proposition is going to make everybody fall on their face. People will be okay.
They'll be fine.
It'll work. Don't worry about it. But again, I'm discouraged to hear that we still don't have a script. And I'm starting to wonder if it's ever actually going to happen. Anyway, we can only hope because Matt Reeves is the Batman. Matt Reeves is the extension of that world that he did with the Penguin. just phenomenal, and I just want to see more of it. I want to see two different kinds of Batman. I want to see the Batman that we're getting with the Pattinson Batman. I want to see whatever we're going to get in the James Gunn universe kind of Batman. I want to see
100%.
both. Anyway, whatever you guys think about this whole thing, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on and talk about this. Now, look, the John Campea Show is primarily a movie and TV show. It is. But every once in a while, because the name of the show's got my name on it, I reserve the right to now and again to bring up something that may be outside of our normal scope of discussion. If it's something that gives me great joy and something that I have a lot of fun with and I think is great, right? And that today, let's talk about the Nintendo Switch 2. As according to The Verge, the Nintendo Switch 2 is now the fastest selling game console of all time. The Switch 2 has reached a record-breaking 3.5 million units sold in just 4 days. The article over at The Verge writes the following. Nintendo was expecting the Switch 2 would be just as successful as the original, and it's already become the fastest selling game console of all time after a strong launch. Nintendo revealed today that it has sold more than 3.5 million Switch 2 units in the console's first 4 days, surpassing records for any of Nintendo's hardware within the same launch period, but the record is more significant than that. Daniel Ahmed, director of the research and insights at Nico Partners, points out on X that the Switch 2 is, quote-unquote, the fastest selling home video game console of all time. It took Sony 16 days to sell 2.1 PS4 consoles and 6 weeks to reach 4.2 million units. The Switch 2 has also comfortably beaten the PS5 launch, which debuted during the pandemic and associated chip supply constraints. It took 7 weeks for Sony to sell through 4.4 million PS5 units. So 3.2 million units in 4 days. I have a Nintendo Switch 2. And I've had limited experience with it so far because really Ann and I have just been playing a lot of Mario Kart. And I finally downloaded the updated Switch 2 version of Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild because they upgraded with better graphics and HDR support and all that kind of stuff. And I just started that game. And the game it looks beautiful. It's noticeably better than the Switch 1 version. But Mario Kart 2 is bonkers fun. And I say this as somebody who's been playing Mario Kart all the way back to the Super NES, but it's just a load of fun. And you know, here's the funny thing, because everybody knows, as somebody who's not a hardcore gamer, even I know that the hardware in the Nintendo Switches are not up to scale with the PS or the Xbox models that are out. Like they're saying this Nintendo Switch 2 might actually be just as powerful as the PS4. I mean, it's way behind on its sheer hardware power and all that kind of stuff. And yet it just sells like mad. And I was thinking about this, Rob, and I'd be curious to know what you think. It's like, well, why is it that these things sell so well when you have other brands that are far more powerful, more capable than the Switch? I mean, I'm sure part of it is the form factor. The form factor is great, but now you got Steam Decks and you got ROG, you got all these handheld game things that are kind of clones of it. Not to mention the fact that the price is significantly higher now than the original Nintendo Switch, and the games are more expensive now. Like a lot of people are saying, we're going to boycott Nintendo Switch 2, and then it broke all the records, so much for that. So what is it? And I think it's kind of this, and I could be way wrong, but I think it's this. Beyond the form factor of the game, or of the console, Nintendo games seem just to be made to have fun. That's it. Like you just pick up a Nintendo game, you pick up a Switch game, and it's exclusively designed just to have fun. And I've experienced that. Like I even played Hades. I played Hades on the Switch, actually. Now I know it was in other places as well, but you pick up Hades, it's not a complex game. It's just really fun. Mario Kart is not a complex game. I mean, it's like poker. It's easy to learn, difficult to master, but still, you just pick it up and it's fun. You play Mario Party or Mario RPG or Zelda Breath of the Wild. It's not an overly complex game. They're just really fun. And that seems to have quite a broad appeal. Anyway, Rob, you see this. The Nintendo Switch 2 console just broke all the sales records. Why do you think it was able to do it?
Well, I think you're pretty much right. I mean, you can turn on a Nintendo. I remember when I got my GameCube, I got a Godzilla game for the GameCube. And it was something you turn it on, and I was immediately having fun. Same with the Robotech game that I had for GameCube. You turn it on, and you're just immediately in the midst of it, and you're playing. Look, if you're going to play, even my favorite PlayStation game is Grand Theft Auto. You have to get into it. It takes you a minute. They have to show you all the controls. You have to play the first levels to really get it. With these Nintendo games, you can turn it on and it's a party. It's more of a party vibe. They really do make it. And the game isn't overly complex. Like when you play Mario Kart, it's like when we were doing it live at the old studio.
Yeah.
I was getting better at it as we played. I mean, I wasn't going home practicing my skills. It was only when we were playing those live streams, but I got better and better and better at it, and it was just fun to do. It's like a party game system as opposed to being something where, you're going to sit down and spend an entire day immersed in some giant RPG, whether you're playing Ghost of Tsushima or the latest Uncharted game or something like that, where you're really spending it's a singular immersive experience.
Right. Oblivion
Yeah.
remastered.
Yeah, or you're playing whatever it is you're going to play. I mean, with this, when you're playing Mario Kart, it's a game that's going to last 5 minutes and it's done. You've played the game, it's fun, it's an experience, like, yes. And I think that's why it's as popular as it is, because you can play it, you take a break at work and you can go play it at lunch and have an experience.
One of our viewers in the live chats just said something along those lines too. They just said, like, the other great thing about the Nintendo stuff is that you can literally pick it up for 10 or 15 minutes and feel totally satisfied and had a great time. And then now you got to go back to work, where it's like, if I try to pick up, like if I load up my PS5 and I try to play God of War, I feel like it's like 15 minutes before I'm even really just getting into it.
Right.
And again, I love my PS5 and I love a lot of the games on it, like whether Last of Us, whatever. Like I love the games on, but it's just, again, it seems like Nintendo's first pillar is, can people just pick this up and have fun?
Yeah,
sure.
And that seems to be
100%.
really appealing.
And then mobility too, because you can take it to work. You can't take a PS3, unless you take a monitor and everything else. So
again, the form factor of it is a huge. Again, that's why you're seeing the entire industry trying to kind of mimic now the form factor of that. I wouldn't be surprised at all if we get in the next PlayStation, if we get like some kind of thing where it's just handheld with its own monitor at some point.
Yeah.
But anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? The Nintendo Switch 2 has just shattered all the sales records for the fastest selling video game console of all time. That's despite the fact that it's not nearly as powerful as the current generation of Xboxes or PS5s, despite the fact that, they just raised their prices and stuff like that. I don't know. What do you attribute those sales to? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? The other day we talked about how James Gunn revealed in an interview that right now they are writing a script for Wonder Woman. Now, they fell short of announcing officially a Wonder Woman movie because, James Gunn's philosophy is we have to have a completed script that we know is exactly what we want, and then we will greenlight a movie and go into production. But he said, we're not announcing the movie officially, but we are working on a Wonder Woman script. Now, obviously, Wonder Woman will not be played by Gal Gadot. And it feels so weird. I actually really like her. Every time I see her in an interview, I think she is infinitely likable.
100%.
But I've never found her to be a top tier talented actress. It's just always been one of the shortcomings with her, right? And again, like, she is one of the most beautiful human beings, male or female, walking the face of the planet. She's stunning. But, so we know it's not going to be Gal Gadot. So who could play Wonder Woman? We had a bunch of our own viewers writing in yesterday, throwing in some suggestions. So I thought for funsies, we would take a minute and throw out some names that I would consider to be the 5 potentially best picks. Now, again, let me preface this. X actor and X role. It's hard to really tell who would be the best fit to play Wonder Woman unless I read the script, because Wonder Woman can be interpreted and expressed in different ways. And depending on how James Gunn and DC decide to express Wonder Woman, that would radically change who we think is a good fit for it. So we're kind of doing this a little bit blind, all right? But I want to give my 5 picks, and these are in no particular order. Now, before I get into the 5, I want to mention one honorable mention. Like, because I had a list of about 12 names, and as I pared them down, I'm like, I just can't take this girl off the list, so I at least want to give her an honorable mention. Grace Caroline Curry. She played Mary Marvel in the Shazam movies.
Oh, yeah.
She's already, you can bring this up, she's already in the family. She's already kind of in the DC family in a way. This is in the universe, so it doesn't matter that she was Mary Marvel before. I thought she was really good. Now, the one knock on her, the one thing that keeps her from being on in my 5 is that she's very girl next door, which is one of those qualities that made her so great as Mary Marvel. But there's almost like an exotic element you want in a Wonder Woman, given that she's, you know, the Greek deity kind of background, the whole mythologies of Themyscira. He wants a little something like that. But again, where they announce Grace Caroline Curry tomorrow as our new Wonder Woman, I would have no problem with that whatsoever. I'd be down. So that's why she makes it on to my honorable mentions. All right, now we get into my 5. And again, these are in no particular order. Naomi Scott. I love this girl. I first really got introduced to her when she was in that Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie. And I was actually quite impressed with her, to be honest with you. And then she was Jasmine in the Aladdin remake, and she killed it. She was so good in that. And then, I mean, she was even in that Charlie's Angels, that terrible Charlie's Angels reboot, but she was really good in it, despite the fact that the movie was terrible.
Yep.
Then just recently, she did Smile 2, which was much better than I thought it would be. And again, she killed it. She's stunningly beautiful. She's, most importantly, a solid actress. So if they had named Naomi Scott tomorrow, I'd be very pleased. I'd be very, very pleased. All right. Next person up, I want to mention, I just saw her in a couple of films, including The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare and The Fountain of Youth, which was terrible. But I've always loved her. And again, one of the key signs of an actress who's really good, an actor or actress who's really good, is when you put them in a poor project, yet they still stand out. Isaac Gonzalez. Man, I first took real notice of her in that Edgar Wright film, Baby Driver, when she was John Hamm's girlfriend in it. I'm like, who is this? And why is she so good? And then ever since, like, she would be popping up in things where even that ambulance movie, that Michael Bay ambulance movie, which again is terrible, but she was really, like, every time she was on the screen, she would elevate the movie. And so she's got that exotic element to her. She is most importantly, again, a solid actress. She has an ability. I'm not trying to make a Gal Gadot trash session here, again, all respect, but you know, Gal, under the direction of Patty Jenkins, was able to adequately do the role and do it all right. But she wasn't able, because she doesn't have the acting chops, to elevate the material. Isaac Gonzalez can elevate the material, and she's proved it by being in several really bad things, and she stands out. And so that's why I would be totally down for Isaac Gonzalez to do it. All right. Next one up. This is going to be one that'll be on a lot of people's lists. Ana de Armas, who might be straight up the best actress on this list. She may just vary. I mean, she's an Oscar caliber actress, Ana de Armas, but she's also got all those boxes we were talking about. World-class actress. You're not going to find anybody who's going to be able to pull off action like she does. If we didn't already know that from seeing her in James Bond, we definitely had an exclamation point put on it watching her in Ballerina. She's, again, I think the overall best pure actress on this list. She can do the action. She's got that exotic look about her. She can do the accents, all that kind of stuff. I just think she would be an absolute home run. An absolute home run. Again, all depending on how they're writing Wonder Woman. Maybe she's not a good fit at all, depending on how they write her. But going in blind, all other things being equal, Ana de Armas would be just an absolute knock it out of the park home run if they went with her. All right. Couple more here. Some people have mentioned her, and I wasn't quite sure at first when they mentioned her, but then I remembered a bunch of her filmography. Not just things like, Scream, not just a movie like In the Heights, which she was spectacular
I know you were
in.
saying she was great.
But then she's in this little horror film, Abigail, and just crushed it in that. We're talking about Melissa Barrera.
Yeah.
I mean, again, she's almost got a little bit of a Gal Gadot look to her in some ways too. Again, we've seen her do a bit of action. I know she can dance, so she can probably do action choreography really good. Again, she absolutely floored me in the Heights. And just seeing her playing in smaller films as well. And again, being able to elevate material at the same time, like she did in Abigail, which actually is a really good movie in and of itself, but she was a big part of why that movie I think was so good. So I'm going to go out and say Melissa Barrera there. All right. Now the last one on my list, and I left it last because it's the one that everybody's going to pick, but still, Adria Arjona.
She's my number one.
I think she's going to be a lot of people's number one. Now, obviously, everybody's talking about her a lot recently because she was just in one of maybe the greatest Star Wars thing ever, in Andor. But I totally forgot that she was just in that Glenn Powell Hitman movie.
Yeah.
She was the co-star in that Hitman movie, which I totally forgot that was her. And she was also in that Ryan Reynolds movie, 6 Underground. Again, not a very good movie. Sorry, Ryan. Not a very good movie, but she was quite good in it. And there's just something about her. Now, she's got action qualifications. We saw that in 6 Underground. She checks that. I think Wonder Woman's need to have a little bit, because of the Greek background, she's got to have a little bit of an exotic element to it. Clearly a great actress as well. I would probably rank her as the second best actress on the list, only behind Ana de Armas. So she would, I think she would be great. So again, my list is an honorary mention to Grace Caroline Curry. Then my 5, again, in no particular order: Naomi Scott, Isa Gonzalez, Ana de Armas, Melissa Barrera, and Adria. Is it Adria? I think it's Adria. Adria Arjona is in there. Again, that's in no particular order. I would be thrilled if any of these 5 got announced by James Gunn at Comic-Con, which I'm not expecting it, but who knows, it could, gets announced as the new Wonder Woman. Anyway, and by the way, is she not, did you bring it up to me yesterday? Is she dating Jason Momoa?
That's what I thought I heard.
Yeah, I think I saw some pictures of her and Jason Momoa on the red carpet. So it's a DC family affair. You're keeping it all in the family. Anyway, Rob, obviously,
I got a couple more.
Adrena is the big one for you, but
Yeah.
you got some other names you'd like to throw on that list?
Monica Barbaro, who was in Top Gun Maverick.
Top Gun Maverick, and she was. Why am I freezing on the other big thing she's in? Oh,
she's in the Bob Dylan movie.
Right.
The Witch.
Yeah,
she was just nominated for an Academy
Yes,
Award
just nominated for Academy Award.
for Complete Unknown.
I think she's absolutely
Yep, she would be
adorable,
great. I like her.
beautiful. And then we've already seen her in Moon Knight. The best thing about Moon Knight, May Kalamwe, who played Scarlet Scarab.
Yep.
Those are the 2 people that
Yep.
I would throw out.
She ticks those boxes too.
And she's Egyptian Palestinian. So I think that there's something interesting about ethnicity there that I think a character of Wonder Woman kind of needs, because Wonder Woman is not American.
No.
She's like got that Greek god lineage in her. So I think it's important that Wonder Woman is somewhat exotic. I don't know if you watched, but Fandango, Perry Nemiroff hosted a roundtable discussion with the cast and James Gunn of Superman yesterday to celebrate.
Yeah, they did a bunch of roundtables yesterday. I saw a bunch
but
of the
this
outlets did that.
Fandango one was really great that Perry hosted. It's very easy to see why David Corenswet was cast. The guy has charisma to burn. And just in that roundtable, it's a really great, it's fun.
I finally saw that video of him with the kids.
Oh, yeah.
That was, yeah.
When they were shooting the movie. But watching them talk, watching Rachel Brosnahan, watching Nicholas Hoult, and watching David Cornsweet and James Gunn speak, it's clear that this movie is going to be great. And it's clear why it took them a long time with their chemistry sessions. And I would imagine that for Wonder Woman and for Batman, that James Gunn's going to do this. What's so great is whoever these actors are going to be, whoever Wonder Woman's going to be, she's going to be handpicked. These actors are very bespoke because James Gunn spends a long time figuring out.
Yeah.
He's not just casting people. So one of the things that has made me excited, and I don't know why, watching this Fandango thing, it just popped up and I watched it. But watching Cornsweet speak, the guy, and he's talking about the role. I'm like, that guy is Superman. And I never felt it as much as I felt it. And, you know, we reported on the fact that they were doing these chemistry tests, 2 years ago or whatever. And I'm excited. This was an element of the DC universe that I wasn't expecting, is how I think all this casting is going to work. I'm more excited than ever to see these characters interact. And they talked yesterday about how the first 2 days of production on Superman was this interview that Lois does with Clark. And that was how they started. And after hearing them talk about that, I'm like, wow, I am really more excited than ever to see this movie. And I'm more excited than ever about what James Gunn's doing with this universe.
Yeah.
I can't wait. And I think Wonder Woman and Batman are two, the way they're going to cast this and put this all together, and it's all of a piece. The whole universe is being built. I'm excited, dude. I'm excited. And knowing that Wonder Woman's going to be, coming up soon, I'm excited about that.
Let me ask you this. Out of the 6 names I actually put up there, are there any of the ones that I brought up that you look at and think, she's good, but I just couldn't see her as Wonder Woman? Is there anyone?
No, I mean, looking at them, they all could be. And, being familiar with some of their work, I would say, yeah, they could all pull it off. It really depends. I mean, it really is going to depend. And I think you're going to have to, unlike like what Snyder did, Zack Snyder did a great job of casting, I think. Even Gal Gadot, he thought Gal Gadot could be Wonder Woman.
He blew that casting.
That casting, and Momoa was great as Aquaman.
Yes, he was great. That was great.
Ben Affleck as Batman. Remember when everyone's making fun of Ben Affleck? I'm like, he did the same thing with Watchmen. He nailed that casting.
The casting in Watchmen was really good.
Really good. And while I love Matthew Good, even though I didn't dig so much the way he played Ozymandias, he was still great as Ozymandias. It was great casting. I think James Gunn's going to do the same kind of thing. So I think everybody you picked you'd have to see them. What he's going to do is he's going to bring these people in and put them up against the people that are already cast. They're going to have to do chemistry readings with the characters that James Gunn has already cast. And that's going to be really fast because James Gunn,
which is why one of the reasons he started with Superman. Like, that's why you start with Superman, and then you make sure you can build everything else around him.
Absolutely. You build out from there, which is a really smart way to do it.
All right, guys, question is for you. What do you think about the names that we've brought up? I mean, James Gunn is saying they're writing Wonder Woman, so they're going to have to cast one. Do you like the names we came up with? If so, do you have a favorite? Maybe you think we left somebody off. Maybe there's somebody we had on there that you don't think would fit. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's take some time here to play a little game of what's more likely. I jumped on our posts tab on our community tab, the post tab on our YouTube channel today, and asked our viewers, hey, do you have a what's more likely scenario for us? If so, send them in. We've had now, I think, Jonathan picked it. We got 5 picked out.
Yeah.
So we're going to address those ones. Jonathan, what do we got up?
Spider Fan says, what's more likely, the Harry Potter reboot show gets all 7 seasons finished or gets canceled midway, John?
Okay, look, make no mistake about it. HBO Max and Warner Brothers are heavily committed to this Potter series. They're putting in tons of resources. They're investing a lot into it. But 95% of television shows don't make it to 7 seasons. Might even be more, might be 96, 97, 98% of television shows don't make it to 7 seasons. It's rare that a show makes it to 7 seasons. So the odds are against them making it all the way through. And that's fine. Look, if they give 1 or 2 or 3 really good seasons and then people say, okay, that was good, but we've had enough and kind of fall off, then you don't just keep spending money for the sake of spending money. So Do I think there's a chance it goes all the way through? Absolutely, because like I said, Warner Brothers is really committed to it, but the odds are not in their favor. I mean, most shows do not make it to 7 seasons, so I'll say it's more likely, regardless of how good it starts, mathematically, it's more likely it doesn't make it to the full 7 seasons. Rob, what would you say?
I'm going to go the other direction because they already have the books. So one of the problems with shows is that they don't know where they're going. They don't have a handle on what's happening. They spent so long casting these kids in these roles, and they know exactly where they're going to go. They have the blueprints, and I think that it will go the distance because they're going to make sure that it does. They're going to spend. Look,
but if people don't watch, if people stop watching, people stop watching.
Well, that's true. But I don't think they will if it's good. I really don't. I think people are going to watch this because another thing about the Harry Potter series, if you think about it, it's not like it's globe trotting. It's not like with Game of Thrones, you're going to Spain to shoot, you're going to Dubrovnik, you're going to all these places, whereas this is going to be mostly a set-bound show. I mean, sure, they'll get off the stages occasionally, but Hogwarts is your main location.
Yep.
And then people come there. So it's not going to break the bank in terms of production because you're not you're not shooting across the land in New Zealand like the first season of Rings of Power. So I think it's going to go the distance.
All right. What's next?
We got Josh Barnes. Rob, what's more likely, a Batman or Wonder Woman casting announcement at Comic-Con next month? Batman or Wonder Woman?
I think Batman. I think they know who their Batman is.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think I think they already know.
I do too.
Just like you brought up Ben Affleck earlier, we later found out what we kind of guessed, that they had cast Ben Affleck 6 months before they made the announcement that he was going to be playing the role. I think they've already got their Batman. And not only that, it goes the opposite way as well, because I don't think James Gunn is even going to look at casting Wonder Woman until they have their finished, completed script.
Yes.
So they know exactly
Right.
what they need in their Wonder Woman.
100%.
So is it possible they announce a Wonder Woman at it? I suppose it's possible, but I would think it's like, take the Batman element out of it. I think it's very unlikely, not impossible, but very unlikely we had a Wonder Woman thing. Whereas I think it's a good 50-50 chance that we get a Batman announced.
By the way, we know there's a post-credit scene in Superman.
Right.
Now, the general idea would be that we know Supergirl has been shot already.
Yes.
But Supergirl was supposed to cameo in this movie anyway.
I'm not even sure it's just a cameo.
Yeah,
Might
I'm
be
not
a
even
little
sure.
bit
So
more than
Super,
that.
I'm willing to put money on the fact that Batman's in that post-credit scene.
You think it's going to be a Batman post-credit? It's like, you made quite a mess.
I
Superman.
have no reason to believe that. I
Right,
haven't
no
heard
insider
anything.
information.
I don't know inside information, but it would make sense because what you want to do is these post-credit scenes, like James Gunn said, unless they really matter, why do them? And this is why, if you're planting your flag and you want, can you imagine talk about buzzworthy? We already know there's a Supergirl movie, so it's not like you have to show Supergirl at the end of the movie to tell people. Or even Lobo. We know Lobo's coming. Tell us something we don't know.
Right.
And they're gonna make it as James Gunn said, look, man, I'm not doing any post-credit scenes unless I can make people go, ho, ho, ho.
I think we see him as Wayne, though.
Maybe a Bruce Wayne.
Whatever, we're gonna get somebody.
Yeah, like maybe it ends and it's like now the aftermath of the events of Superman, and it's the post-credit scene now, and they're in the offices of the Daily Planet, and Clark, somebody's here to see you. Hi, I'm Bruce Wayne. Or just something like that.
Or they are,
right?
because look, if there's LexCorp, you think they don't, Bruce Wayne is already totally established in this universe. It's not like he's new.
Right.
Yeah, he's already Batman, because we already saw the silhouette of Batman in Creature Commando.
Yes, we did.
So he's already operating.
Yeah, we're going to see Batman in the end of this movie.
By the way, I see some people in live chat. Oh no, I'm sure Robert Pattinson is not going to be the Batman in James Gunn
No.
DCU. Just get rid of that.
And no, because the Batman in this universe is established.
Yeah.
They talked to James Gunn said
He has a son.
He said that there have been superheroes and
And he has a
metahumans.
son. That's right.
Yeah. He said that he said this in the Fandango conversation, that there has been superheroes for 300 years in this new DC universe. So this is nothing new. Batman is in this universe.
And again, to Jonathan's point, this Batman, because they're doing Brave and the Bold, this Batman that we're getting already has a son.
Yeah.
So
He was already on the Maury Povich show. They're like the DNA
You are the
matches.
father.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
and Bruce Wayne has got to be as well known. Like maybe he offers to come in and take care of the remnants of LexCorp or something. Allow Wayne,
or maybe
Wayne
he buys the
Enterprise-
Daily Planet.
or yes, something
Yeah.
that would be dope.
That would be
actually.
really cool.
That would
Bruce
be
Wayne
really
bought
cool.
the Daily Planet.
To add to his media conglomerate.
All right, what's next?
Michael Gonzalez asks, John, what's more likely, Penguin season 2 or Agatha season 2?
I mean, both of these shows were hits for their respective thing. I mean, Penguin 2 bigger because it's also getting nominated for Best Drama Series at the Emmys and winning all these awards and stuff like that. But they were both very successful, both of which had great ratings. Agatha, contrary to all the talky people did before it came out, it actually had higher ratings than Daredevil did.
Yeah.
And it did that rare thing, Agatha, where every week its viewership went up and up and up.
People like the show.
Here's the thing. Which one do I want more between a Penguin season 2 and an Agatha season 2? I'm down for both, but I would definitely want Penguin season 2 more. But what's more likely? I think an Agatha season 2 is more likely because they're still, the way they're talking, they're still saying like they're having doubts they're going to do a second season to Penguin 2. I mean, Colin Farrell's already talked about, I mean, he'll do it for the Batman 2, but he's already talked about how he's hesitant to go through that process of doing the Oz makeup again. Whereas Agatha 2 seems, I know this sounds weird to say, it seems like an easier thing to do. To just pull that group together, go ahead and make it. It seems like it would be an easier thing. So what would I want more? Penguin. But what's more likely? I think we can get both, but I think the more likely one is Agatha season 2. Rob, what about you?
I tend to agree with you because the Penguin show, again, it comes down to writing. That Penguin show is in production for a long time. It's not like they cranked it out in 6 months. And I think with Agatha, there's probably, because they already had, it was successful. And it's not necessarily as difficult. I don't mean to say that making an Agatha show is easy, but I think I could see it happening a lot faster than a Penguin series.
Yeah. All right. What's next?
All right. Sabir something or other. Rob, which one is more likely to win Best Picture at the Academy Awards, The Odyssey or Project Hail Mary?
I'm all in on Project Hail Mary. I'm all in. I think Project Hail Mary has got the Best Picture at the 2027 Academy Awards. It's a lock for me. That said, I've read the book. So I know if it's pulled off, it could do what E.T. did not do at the 83 Academy Awards, which is defeat Gandhi. But and look, I'm not betting against Christopher Nolan. I'm not. But I do think that Christopher Nolan he's taken a leap. It's a leap. What he's doing now, going back into antiquity, sword and sandal epic, based on epic poetry. I'm all in. I love my Homer. I can't wait to see what he's doing. I just think that Project Hail Mary, however, has more. It has more. It's The Martian, and it's Nolan's own Interstellar, and it's got that there's an emotional component to it that makes it a lot of fun. But that's not to say that The Odyssey isn't going to be fun too. I just think that Project Hail Mary is going to connect more.
I'm going to say it's more likely The Odyssey does. And I'm going to for one reason, because look, I was there with you, man, when they showed us that big presentation for Project Hail Mary. I haven't read the book. That presentation floored me, and I cannot wait for that movie.
I know.
That being said, how many movies have Lord Miller directed that have been nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards?
0.
You know who has had some big Academy stuff? Christopher Nolan. It's for me, it all comes down to the director. And I just think Christopher Nolan, it's like when you get into the finals in a sports, like which team's got that championship experience? Christopher Nolan knows how to make movies that are crowd pleasers and win the Academy at the same time. So while anything can happen for sure, and again, guys, I cannot emphasize how good Project Hail Mary looks. The stuff they showed us at CinemaCon, mind blowing. But Christopher Nolan's got the experience, man. He knows
I
how to
know.
make these Academy movies. So, and it's the moment you say Christopher Nolan's directing it, the Academy goes, what do we got here? That's what the Academy does. And so that's why I think I'm going to say it's more likely that it'll be.
Yeah,
the
it's true.
Odyssey.
Although, I'm thinking Project Hail Mary. I'm going to equate it to Dances with Wolves. It's the sci-fi Dances with Wolves. Make of that.
I cannot wait to see it, man. It looks so
I'm
good.
telling you.
All right.
I'm all in.
What's next?
All right. We got our last one here. Magno Traps. John, what's more likely, Jurassic World Rebirth to underperform or Jurassic Rebirth to make the most of the July movies?
Listen, this July is one of the better months on paper and with potential that we've had in movies in a long time. We've got Fantastic Four, we've got Superman, and we got a new Jurassic World movie. A Jurassic World movie that, unlike some of the previous ones, actually looks really good. I mean, this one actually I'm surprised, but it actually looks pretty damn good. And the reality is that even the last Jurassic World movie, which was not all that good, still made over $1 billion. I just really believe, as much as Superman is my most anticipated film of the year, and I'm very excited about Fantastic Four. If I had to put $5 on it right now, because I wouldn't put 50, but if I were to put $5 on it right now, my guess is when it's all said and done and the dust clears, that Jurassic World Dominion is going to be the one film in July that makes the most money. I think when all the movies are done their theatrical runs, I still think it's going to be Jurassic World. Now, Superman's chances are getting better and better, and we're going to talk about that in a minute.
Yes.
But I will say, in the scenario you're presenting of it, is it more likely that Jurassic World underperforms or is the number one film of the month? I think it's more, I mean, either could happen, but I think it's more likely that it ends up being the number one film of the month. Anyway, Rob, what do you think?
This is the 7th Jurassic Park movie.
Wow.
It's coming out from Universal. They have another seventh movie in a franchise, which directed by James Wan, which was Fast and Furious 7. Furious 7. And that movie made a hell of a lot of money, in the billions. We got past $1 billion. If there's one studio that knows how to take a 7th movie in a franchise
yeah.
and make $1 billion, look, man, I'm with you. This movie is going to be it's going to probably be the highest grossing movie this summer. Probably. I think there's a few dark horse candidates worldwide, like F1. There's a great article in Variety about the combination of how the movie got made. But I think Jurassic World Rebirth is going to make, you know what? It's going to make more than 1.2. I think.
You think it's going to make more than 1.2?
Especially if look, I depending on how many people get eaten, every person that gets eaten is $200 million. There's got to be a formula.
They should have a running cash register number in the total as
somebody's
got
to calculate however many people die in a Jurassic World movie. How many? Whoever gets eaten by dinosaurs, then it ups the ante in terms of their box office number.
All right, guys. And that will wrap up this little week's installment of What's More Likely. Thank you to everybody who submitted scenarios for that. Keep your guys' eyes open on our channel, of course, for when we put out these calls for either over-unders or true or falses or What's More Likelies. And we love picking out some of your guys' stuff. So thank you for the interesting scenarios you guys sent in. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this. Look up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's the ticket sales for Superman. The other week, we talked about how that in a year where we've already had a couple of films flirt with the $1 billion mark in Minecraft and in now Lilo and Stitch, which still very well may cross $1 billion mark, Fantastic Four put their tickets on sale, and they had the biggest first day ticket sales of the year, breaking the record for the year, and it was the number one ticket sales thing for the year. Well, I hope they enjoyed it because it didn't last long. According to Deadline, Superman early access Amazon Prime screening tickets have become Fandango's best, supplanting Fantastic Four, first day pre-ticket sales year to date. They go on to write this. Great early heat here on James Gunn's Superman. Fandango's reporting that the Amazon Prime early access screenings for the film have become the ticket retailer's best first day advance ticket seller of 2025, outselling all other movies' general first day ticket sales year to date, including Disney/Marvel Studios' Fantastic Four First Steps. By the way, these tickets that Amazon Prime members paid for. They are not free. I already saw somebody saying, yeah, but if you're a Prime member, you got the tickets for free. No. Not only, you couldn't even use your A-list. I had to buy these tickets.
How dare them?
I had to pay $125 for me and get tickets for my friends for these tickets. So even if you had A-list, you couldn't even buy them on A-list. People had to buy these in cash. They are not free. Prime early access tickets are available exclusively through Fandango. Early screenings for Superman will take place in select theaters on July 8th, 7 p.m. local time, 3 days before the film's nationwide release in theaters and in IMAX. All right. I have said for a year, I think Superman can be great because it's James Gunn, and I got all the belief in the world in James Gunn. But because of a number of things that have happened before James Gunn ever showed up, the way the DCEU was run into the ground, the way it finished an absolute complete failure, the way out of their last 4 films, only one of them even managed to get to 400 million. A couple of them struggled to get to 200 million, that the audience had completely abandoned it. We had already had several recasts and numbers of iterations of Superman, both on the big screen and on the small screen. You know, that this Superman movie was going to just need to be great to rehabilitate the image, to set up the future of DC for success. Don't be surprised if it doesn't do all that well at the box office. Then that trailer came out yesterday. A trailer that my first reaction to watching it was, this trailer is going to kill it with the biggest demographic of all, the average movie-going audience. Maybe not the hardest of hardcore comic book nerds or whatever, but whatever. We're the 1 or 2%. The vast majority of people, I said, this trailer is going to kill it with those people. I might have to rethink how much money it's going to make. And now, Rob, they're saying the ticket sales, which are in a limited number of theaters, the Fantastic Four first day ticket sales is for 3,500 screens.
Yep.
This broke that record with limited screenings, and only just a fraction of the screenings that every other film has for its opening day. And Fandango is saying that this Superman film just broke that. Just sold more than that.
Only the early tickets. The regular tickets went on sale yesterday. So we don't even know the reports of how many tickets it sold yesterday.
All over. But we're talking about the first day record.
Yeah.
When Fantastic Four had way more seats to sell, Superman still managed to be the #1 first day ticket sales of the year. And that includes, again, close to $1 billion films like Minecraft, Lilo and Stitch, Fantastic Four, which did hold the record there for a bit. And now Superman comes out. You know, I had a Hollywood producer friend of mine write to me yesterday. Let me say what he said here. He said, loved your Superman trailer reaction, blah, blah, blah. Marvel, he said, is shitting in their pants. It won't even be a fair fight with Fantastic Four, mark my words. And again, I don't think Marvel is shitting in their pants at all.
No.
But I wrote back to him, I said, I'm starting to think this movie's going to do better than I thought, which I love. I love.
This movie doing better only helps Fantastic Four.
And that's just going to help Fantastic Four. Again, if everybody loves going to Superman, they're going to be, we should do this again. Yeah, well, there's a new one coming out in 2 weeks. But here's the thing to me. You remember when the box office projections came out saying $150 to $180 million opening weekend. I said, well, that would be the biggest opening weekend of any DC film in history. But I don't believe that's going to happen. I think it's going to be closer to like 110. I'm thinking I'm going to have to do 180 on that. I like, it's just with this trailer going over with audiences the way it is, and it is spectacular, that trailer. I watched it like 10 more times last night. And now with Fandango saying, "Oh yeah, these tickets are selling. They're selling out. I mean, they're selling all the tickets right now. Maybe those opening weekend projections weren't so far off. Maybe it will come in at like 150 million to 180 million. I said when those numbers came out, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I want it to be true, but I don't believe it. Rob, I'm starting to believe it. I'm starting to believe that a man can fly, Rob. Anyway, you see these numbers. I mean, Fantastic Four didn't hold the record for very long, but I don't know. What's your takeaway from this?
Well, look, I think, it really comes down to a philosophical question. Why do people go to the movies? And they go to the movies to, like you say, have an experiential event, to be entertained. Ultimately, you go to see a film, you want to experience any kind of a story, to be entertained, maybe be enlightened, be refreshed, be made to be happy. And I think that we are now conditioned that movies themselves, we're going to see spectacle now. The studios are making big scale films. This movie, the superhero movies, what have we been conditioned since 2000, where X-Men opened at Auschwitz?
Oh.
The superhero films have gone in all of them have gone in a certain direction. This movie has gone in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
This movie has taken 25 years of what we've been getting in the superhero genre and putting it away. And it's reinvented it. It reminds me, this is gonna seem weird to say, but I remember when I went and saw Beverly Hills Cop in 1984. And the thing about Beverly Hills Cop is we'd seen like buddy cop movies, like 48 Hours had come out. You'd seen cop thrillers, things like that. Blue Thunder, which Roy Scheider came out in 83. And I love cop movies. When I saw Beverly Hills Cop, it worked as both a serious cop thriller and a hilarious comedy.
Yeah.
It had both of these things, and it became one of the biggest movies of the year. And you watched it, and it opened with this great action sequence, the heat is on, or Neutron Dance, or whatever, the truck smashing everywhere. But it gave you a frothy confectional mix that was new.
Much like, because much like Miami Vice was of its time.
Yes.
It was for the MTV generation of the 80s, but so was his comedy, and so was that movie.
Yeah,
and its sensibility.
Yes, and it defined the time in which it came out.
Yeah.
It's like Bronson. I keep seeing Bronson Pinchot show up on my little things, and he talked about how he got the job playing My Name is Sarge,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and how that was basically improvised and made up. And then the day it came out, people recognized him outside the grocery store in West Hollywood, like, "Hello, it's you! Oh my God!" I think that this movie coming out at this time, I think it's going to be one of those zeitgeist moments. And we've been conditioned and programmed to expect a superhero movie to be a certain way. And this movie's like, nope. I'm going to go back to, again, first principles. James Gunn's like, I'm going back to 80s DC comics where all this crazy stuff exists, and I'm going to put it in a movie. If Lex Luthor's going to grow some kaiju and Superman's going to fight him, he's going to do that. I'm not going to shy away from it. That would never have. This movie is not a Marvel movie. Marvel would never go this far. And when they tried, we got Thor, Love and Thunder and Quantum Mania, which didn't work. This is going to work.
Well, then the reason it's going to work, and I know I bring this up all the time, but it's the one word that James Gunn has mastered, which is the word balance, right? You look at Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, it lost its balance. The other Ant-Man films had healthy doses of humor and some silliness, but it was always balanced out against the heavier, the heist elements, the stuff. You looked at Thor, again, I always bring this up, but Thor Ragnarok has tons of really lighthearted, joyous moments, but also some of the darkest stuff ever to happen in the Marvel Cinematic Universe happened in that movie. Then you get Quantumania, and then you get Love and Thunder, which totally lost its sense of balance.
No.
James Gunn, especially you look at Guardians of the Galaxy 3. That movie is hilarious. But you also got Teefs Wants to See the Sky.
Oh, unbelievable.
I'm feeling my heart breaking just thinking about it, right? James Gunn knows how to do that balance. And if he can, and I know it's a big if he can strike that balance in Superman, we got something really special on our hands.
I would offer too, at the beginning of Ragnarok, There's a scene where Thor goes to talk to Doctor Strange and wants to know where Odin is. And it's just a little thing, but Thor's drinking beer.
Yeah, I love that.
And then Doctor Strange just refills his beer. Like,
Yeah.
That to me is both humorous, but also character driven. Doctor
Yes.
Strange is a good host.
Yes.
He's a good host. And it's like, this is not a slapstick moment. It's something Doctor Strange would do. Like, I'm making sure that my guest is taken care of. But it's funny that Doctor Strange does it, but it doesn't break. It's character-based, but also smart and fun humor.
Well, it's funny because of the cut. It's a close shot to a medium shot.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
all
yeah,
of a sudden
the
he's looking, the
cinematography of it,
audience is
everything
in on
worked.
it. Like,
Right.
oh.
Yeah, totally. And to me, that's the problem with Love and Thunder. Destroyed all that, and Quantumania went off into oblivion land where it shouldn't have gone. And James Gunn, though, he's a big wave surfer. He's going to take you down to whimsical fantasy land, but at the same time ground it with human emotion, like he
And
did
maybe
in Guardians
break your
3.
heart.
And maybe break your heart. And
Yeah.
he did that in 2 and 3. The family dynamic, everybody's family. I love Guardians of the Galaxy 2 because there's everyone has a broken family. By the end of that movie, it's weird. It's the typical, we're each other's family. But it was done in a really interesting way. And he knows that he's the master of that. That's a really hard thing to do because it's all about tone, and you're one step away from spinning off into oblivion. I would say that one of the problems with Zack Snyder's movies is the tone was too oppressive.
Right.
It was too heavy. And while some people dig that, hardcore metal, man, I love that. But where's the other side of it? Because you need both. It's a superhero movie.
Yeah,
I understood that
and we
reference.
say that as I think Man of Steel is the best Superman movie of all time. I think it's the most underrated comic book film of all time. But yeah, I'm still I'm adjusting my opening weekend projections from 100 and 110 to 120 and 130. Which is again way higher than I would have thought it would have been 6 months ago. If you had asked me 6 months ago, I would say Superman will be doing great if it can open to like 70, 75 million. I'm now thinking 120, 130. I mean, I don't know. Now they're saying this is like freaking more tickets sold than Fantastic Four. And
this is a high wire act, man. It's a high wire act. I'm walking across the former World Trade Center on a wire. And he's either going to make it or he's going to fall.
I'm so excited. Whatever it is.
I'm excited. I'm excited too. I mean,
did you get your tickets for the 8th?
No.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
Oh, I'm so sorry about that, man.
Okay.
Did you get your tickets for opening weekend?
Yes.
Yeah, I got tickets for Thursday as well. So I got tickets for the Tuesday and I got tickets for the Thursday. So
I think I'm Thursday at like 5 something.
ooh, man, I'm so excited. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Fandango said, yeah, that record we just talked about with that Fantastic Four set, yeah, that's gone now. Superman, just with its advanced screening tickets, has set the new record, set the new mark for most first day tickets of the year, a year that we've had several close to $1 billion films come out. What's your takeaway from that? How big do you think this thing can be opening weekend? I'm calling 120 to 130. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. All right, guys. With that down, it's time for us to move on to your questions, which means, of course, it's time for us to bid adieu to Robert Meyer Burnett. Great job as always, man.
Thank you, sir.
And of course, I'll talk to you tomorrow from the Robservatory.
Yes. You
Tomorrow.
will.
So we're going to look forward to having you on then. And also, before we get to the questions, we're going to take a quick second and thank the sponsor of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends at Stitch Fix. We want to take a second and thank a sponsor of today's video, Stitch Fix. Guys, you know I love movies, but you also know I have absolutely no fashion sense, and I absolutely hate shopping for my clothes. But thankfully, I have found a better way. Stitch Fix online personal styling makes it easy. With Stitch Fix, I get a stylist who understands my style, size, and budget, and they do all the shopping for me. Because look, shopping and figuring out style can be overwhelming, especially for somebody like me. When it comes to getting dressed, I don't even know where to start, to be honest. That's why I love having a Stitch Fix stylist. They really know what works for me. I get pieces that make me look great, and it's a real confidence boost. You just give your stylist your size, style, and budget preferences. You get to order boxes when you want and how you want, no subscription required. They send you personalized pieces, and the fit is always on point. No stores, No crowds, no stress, just personalized looks that you will love. So guys, make style easy. Get started today at stitchfix.com/Campea. That's stitchfix.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at Stitch Fix for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with that down, let's move on to your questions here, shall we? Jonathan, what we got up first?
Anonymous says, last time I watched was 8 years ago while while I was deployed with my buddies. We were attacked. I lost some of my guys.
Oh, no.
After years of therapy, I'm back watching, and you brought nothing but smiles. Your Superman hype reminded me of the good times. Thank you for what you do.
Oh, well, dude, I'm so sorry to hear that you had that experience. That's terrible. And like, if we can be here just a couple of idiots, like in a converted garage, if we can just sit here and share our love with movies and that brings you joy too, that's more of a commentary on the power of movies than it is about us. But still, thank you for being here, making us a part of your day. And that's really kind of you to say, man. To me, that's very honoring. So thank you so much. I appreciate that very, very much. All right, what's next?
Potion Seller. Hey, John, if Superman were to make $1 billion, what would that say about the DCEU and the previous WB regime? I feel like there's much hype for this movie, almost like No Way Home, but I do understand that most of the general audience would be cautious to see it.
I mean, okay, look, I don't think Superman's going to make $1 billion, but if it did, I don't know that says anything about the last DCEU. Again, because remember, except for just 2 of their movies, which was Birds of Prey and Wonder Woman 1984, I liked every single movie in the DCEU. I mean, I still don't understand what some people's problems with that Flash movie are. I thought the Flash movie was really good. Not one of the greatest comic book films of all time, but I thought the Flash movie was really good. I thought Blue Beetle was really good. Obviously, Man of Steel, I think, is the most underrated comic book film of all time. I mean, I like just about everything they did. So I don't want to come across as if I'm saying like I like the DCEU, but they failed to capture a lot of the audience. Like a lot of the audience was just not, and I think Ben Affleck put it perfectly when he said that it didn't have enough fun, right? You got to be able to balance it. It was too dour. Like Ben Affleck said, I couldn't show it to my kids. That's a problem if you're a comic book franchise. And you can put out stuff that is great for us as adult comic fans, but also good for families as well. And I mean, if James Gunn is able to come out, and again, I don't believe Superman will be $1 billion film, but if it is, I think that'll just really just double down. I don't think it says anything negative about the DCU, but I think it doubles down saying the stuff that Rob and I have been saying for a while, which is you can do heavier, you can do grounded, and there are certainly characters that do need to be on the darker side, like a Ghost Rider or a Batman. But other than those exceptions, you got to have joy in these films too. And that might be the takeaway lesson. If it makes $1 billion, we'll see. All right, what's next?
Danny Boy. Hey, John and crew. John, I heard you say The Greatest Showman is the best musical of all time, and I'd probably have to agree. I've also heard rumors that it is coming to Broadway. So if so, what are your thoughts, and will you be seated?
Yeah, if they make a live stage production of Greatest Showman, I will definitely go 100%. And yes, yeah, I understand like in the world of recency bias and all that kind of stuff. And I understand Chicago. We live in a world where Chicago exists, and I understand we live in a world where Greatest Showman is the best musical movie of all time. Changed my mind. Again, it's all subjective. Just because I think it doesn't mean you have to think it's. But to me, I rewatched it again recently, which made me jump on social media and just say, you know what? I'll just say it. Greatest Showman, I think, is the best musical movie ever made. Like every single song in it, every single song in The Greatest Showman is a banger. Every one of them. And it's to the point now when there's like 5 or 6 songs that just when I hear it pop up in my playlist, I get emotional thinking about it. You know, A Million Dreams, I'll get choked up just thinking of that song every time. You know, This Is the Greatest Show, This Is Me, Rewrite the Stars. Like almost every song in it is a complete banger. And yeah, like for me, it is the best musical movie I think I've ever seen. All right, what's next?
We got Gino. Hey, longtime watcher. Thanks for everything. I saw How to Train Your Dragon IMAX today at 6.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was like a early screening. And when I walked in at 6:07, the first scene was already playing. Last person sat at 6:33. Is it AMC being jerks or because it was early access? If it's especially Fandango movies, they don't play a lot of.
Yeah, like I play it. First of all, AMC are jerks, in my opinion. But that aside, when it comes to special fan event screenings or any kind of special screenings, I generally play it safe and just show up at showtime.
Yeah.
Because sometimes they just jump right into the movie. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they'll show the full 25, 30 minutes of trailers and commercials. But sometimes if this says 7 o'clock, sometimes they start at like 7:05. So yeah, when it comes to those special screenings, I'll usually just play it safe and show up at showtime. And by the way, I'm glad you went to go see How to Train Your Dragon. Everybody should go see How to Train Your Dragon. Both Rob and I, everybody who was there, me, Ann, Ray, Rob, we all loved it. It's wonderful. It's a wonderful film. Go see How to Train Your Dragon. All right, what's next?
All right, I think this was in reference to the open mic. Don One says, hey, John, I was being serious. I hate Godfather series, Green Mile, and Expendables 4. I'm with you on Expendables 4. I tried to like Godfather. Too much talking, got confused with the story. Green Mile is too heavy for me. Expendables 4 was the worst of the franchise. I think I like 3 the most. I can't. And I like Iron Man 2, Craven, Gangster Squad, and Captain America 4. It's all subjective. And I liked Andor, season 2, better than season 1.
Well,
Which is interesting because a lot of people complained about Andor, like with those. If they complained about it, it was the same complaints as yours, but yet you liked it.
Well,
So-
yeah, I thought when you wrote that in, I thought you were being facetious because I couldn't disagree with your list more. But again, all film is subjective. It all hits us in different ways. And if those particular movies hit you in a way that you like them, that's great. I mean, I disagree completely, but that's okay. The movies hit me differently than they hit you. And if you didn't like those other movies, which I think is crazy, but that's the subjectivity of film. And just kind of redrives home that point that all these movies hit us in different ways. And if that's how they hit you, that's how they hit you. And there's nothing wrong with that. All right, what's next?
We got Anonymous who says, hi, John and crew. Just watched Counting 2 again on Amazon. Loved it so
Love that movie.
Yeah, loved it so much. But since it made way less money than the first one, doesn't look like we're going to see these two brothers again. And that makes me very sad. What do you guys think?
Yeah, there's not going to be an Accountant 3. But then again, I never thought there was going to be an Accountant 2. And guys, I don't know what to tell people, man. Accountant 2 comes out. It's great. The action's wonderful. It's fun. John Bernthal, Ben Affleck are great together on screen, and ain't nobody went to go see it. So I don't know what to say. It's just like people can, they're not making good movies. No, there are a lot of good movies out there. Just people just don't go see them. You didn't go to support it. And I just don't understand that, but it is what it is. Yes. Accountant 2 was a ball. I had a blast with that movie. But yeah, it doesn't look like it's going to get a number 3, which is really, you could make a full franchise out of this easy. The way they've created that world and that lore, you could easily make a full going 7-year run franchise out of it, but it doesn't look like we're going to get another one. All right. What's next?
Some people call me Tim.
Tim?
How about Maria Sten, who plays Neegly on Reacher, to play Wonder Woman?
She's really good, but she's American Girl Next Door. I mean, she plays badass really well in Reacher, and she's getting her. By the way, Neegly is getting her own spinoff series, which I'm looking forward to seeing. But I just don't see her as a fit for Wonder Woman. Like, she's just way too American. I just don't see it. I don't see it. Now watch this. For all I know, she's actually Greek heritage and she fakes her American accent, and that's possible too. But she's great. I can't wait to see Neegly. I just don't see her as a fit. All right, what's next?
Anonymous says, can't wait to see Amazon's Warhammer series, but I have 2 concerns. 1, just the prologue to the story is 60 books long. 2, setting is way too fascist, racist, sadistic, and horrible for today's Hollywood and general public. How do you think they will solve that?
They'll lean into it.
I mean, Mordor was all of those things.
What do you mean? That's too for today's Hollywood. Are you kidding me? Do you see some movies that get made? No, that's the type of stuff they'll thrive on, man. They'll lean right into that. And by the way, you can't, like, here's the thing. I say this all the time with a lot of properties that are getting movies made. And I say this to the hardcore fans of whatever that thing is. Let it go. Understand that they now need to move in and make a movie out of it. And there's certain things you need to do to make a movie out of it. You need to condense story parts. You need to reject certain parts of lore to make it fit and make sense in a movie or into a series and all that kind of stuff. So just let go of all that and just go in ready to take whatever it is they give us. And listen, it's in good hands. Like Henry Cavill is a major 40K fan. He's a major player and fan of it. So they're going to do the best they can, but just like 60 books of, we'll let all that go. Just forget about all that and just be ready to take whatever it is they give us and then judge it on its own merits. All right, what's next?
JJ, do you think if post-Endgame the MCU went right into X-Men and Fantastic Four, that it would not have been as big of a drop-off on who the face of the MCU is? It's hard to get excited when it feels like there's no superstars left, just role players in NBA terms.
None of that matters. None of that matters. The only thing that matters is that the movies and the shows you put out are good. That's all that matters. Like after Endgame, they could have jumped right into an X-Men thing. But if they made their X-Men at the same quality level as Captain America 4, you wouldn't have been any more further ahead. Mm. The problem isn't the road they're taking. The problem is the projects they're making have not been up to snuff. Some of them have been. Guardians 3, Deadpool and Wolverine, WandaVision. Yeah, they've made some real good bangers. But they've also made a lot of mediocre to subpar to terrible stuff along the way. That's the problem. So no, just jumping right into Fantastic Four and X-Men wouldn't have made a difference if they were still just making it at this inconsistent quality level. We'd still be in this place. Now, hopefully, with Thunderbolts being great, hopefully Fantastic Four will be really good. And then they can start building that positive momentum again. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to not which road did you take. It just comes down to, did you make quality product or not? Because if you're not making quality product, it doesn't matter what order you make them. All right, what's next?
James UK was not able to get the Prime early screening for Superman on July 8th with Prime, as I live in the UK, only available in US. However, I have managed to book 2 viewings for Superman in UK for Friday the 11th and Sunday the 13th. Let the countdown begin. Let the countdown begin indeed, my friends. A lot of people seem to be doing that, like bookending the weekend. They're not doing like back to like Monday. They're not doing like Friday, Saturday. They're doing Friday, Sunday. You know what I mean?
Well, a lot of people probably have like Saturdays already booked or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I know a couple of people who booked twice on Saturday.
Whoa.
They've got like a 1 o'clock and a 6 o'clock right in on Saturdays. Yeah, they couldn't get tickets for the Thursday and they're busy Friday, so they booked back to back. Well, they're going to watch it, leave the theater, eat lunch or an early dinner, and then go back in and watch it again. I myself have tickets for Thursday the 10th. So I'm going to watch it on the 8th, and then I'm going to go back and watch it on Thursday the 10th, and then I'll just wait for individual seats to open up, and I'll just book up my A-list again with Superman. Again, if it's good. Just because the trailer's good doesn't mean the movie's good, but we'll keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
We got Cassian just binged both seasons of Andor, 8 out of 10, only because they never properly closed the chapter on his sister and people. I was told to watch Rogue One next. Do they close it out there? No. Otherwise, great series, and I don't think you need to. No, but that's the point. The point about the sister thing was not for it to conclude that particular storyline. That's something that always just haunted and is a mystery that he himself was never able to know. Yeah, that's just like real life. The importance of his sister stuff is help give us context as to who he is and why he is the way he is and why he does certain things the way he does. So not everything that comes up in somebody's life is going to have its own big complete thing. Now, was I expecting them to maybe bring the sister thing back in? Point. Yes, but that's good storytelling. That the fact that some things don't get answered. And to me, that didn't take away from the show at all, in my opinion, at any rate. All right, what's next? Dad jokes. Hi, John. There are reports floating around that Ryan Gosling is cast as the next Black Panther. Is there any validity to these claims, and is white Black Panther canon? That is so stupid. We're not even going to address it. Let's just move on. Well, this has to do with the comics. Yeah, but then people are like, could Ryan Gosling? No, that's so ridiculous. Yeah. I'm not even going to address it. So let's just move on. You've offended us. Anonymous. Andor inspired me to write a book, a sci-fi spy thriller focused on immigrant trauma. I don't think it'll be any good. Hey, believe in yourself. Writing this between my master's dissertation, but after making a comprehensive timeline of this world and mapping out 3 long acts, I'm hooked. That's amazing.
Well, listen, I as somebody who wrote a book myself, I encourage all people who are movie fans, stuff like that, to get involved in doing something creatively. And listen, it's one thing, and let me warn you, it's one thing to map it out. Actually writing it out, it becomes really challenging. It took me 5 years to finish my book. And anybody with a lick of more talent than me would have done a lot faster. But it took me 5 years because the actual writing part is where the rubber meets the road. I had my story mapped out in about 3 weeks. I knew my story for The Pride. I totally knew it. For like in 3 weeks, I had the whole thing mapped out. But then it took 5 years to write it. So that's the hard part. Just be ready for that so you don't get discouraged when the first rounds of writer's block hits you. Just keep going at it, man. Just keep going at it. All right, what's next?
Mike, whether it is in the MCU or not, do you think we'll ever get a theatrical Marvel animation movie? I don't think they went to all the efforts setting up their own animation studio just to make TV shows.
Nope, don't think they're ever going to do an animated movie. I really don't. And I
like within canon, no.
I think 100% they absolutely set up the animation studio to do animated shows, particularly under the Bob Chapek era. And quite frankly, I don't think they've done anything animated all that great yet. X-Men 97 was pretty damn good. I'll give that.
But even that's not canon.
But I didn't even, yeah, that's not really even canon. That's not MCU. I didn't like the Groot thing all that much. It was cute, but I think... I even think the What If series has kind of been a waste of time. It's had its moments. They've had certain little segments that I thought were really good, but overall, I don't think the What If thing is at all necessary viewing.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I don't expect to see an MCU in the MCU, Marvel fully animated movie in theaters. I don't expect them to do it. By the way, I have no insider information on that. Kevin Feige didn't tell me that. So they could. Of course, it's possible. But you're asking me if I expect it. I don't.
Nah.
All right, what's next?
Ryan the Movie Guy, mini rant. A24's distribution annoys me as Bring Her Back and Materialists are out in the UK in August. 2 movies I'm dying to see. How come A24 does this? For We Live in Time, it was out on digital in the US before its theatrical release in the UK. So he has to wait a long time for that.
There's a million different moving pieces to film distribution. You know, some like especially smaller ones like A24, they probably don't believe a lot of their films will do big in certain markets unless they get released in the US first, build up some rep, build up a little bit of hype, and then have them release overseas. Remember, A24 is not a blockbuster studio, although they're starting to move in that direction to try to play with that a little bit. But that's probably part of their release strategy, and it probably works for them too. But again, I could totally see as a film fan why that would be frustrating. All right, what's next?
Zach from Canada. Hey, John and crew. My question is, what do you think of Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni becoming co-heads of Lucasfilm instead of what was previously been reported? I personally think it may be a better choice. What are your thoughts? I mean, I still don't see Dave Filoni as a James Gunn, so... No,
Dave Filoni, I just don't see any logic.
If anything, I'd rather see Jon Favreau and someone else as a team up.
Yeah. Again, you want to make a co-head of a studio, of a live action film producing studio, a guy who's literally never made a live action movie? Like, to me, it's the most preposterous thought in the world. It's idiocracy. It's like living in idiocracy.
Oh, we are.
It's like, what was the president's name? Macho or Camacho?
That's a good question.
What was his name again?
Shoot.
It's like, oh yeah, he'd make a good president. Oh yeah, he'll make a great head of a studio who's never made a movie in his life, a theatrical movie in his life. I think it was President Camacho. Anyway,
Mountain Dew Herbert Camacho.
Mountain Dew Herbert Camacho. So no, I don't even think Jon Favreau, because obviously Jon Favreau a lot more than Dave Filoni. Jon Favreau has decades more experience. both as a producer, as a filmmaker, as an actor. I mean, he's been on every level of it. I still don't think that means he's a studio head, but I could see John Favreau. I just don't see any logic. Where's the logic in a guy who has literally never made a live action film in his life and will make him the head of a live action movie studio? I just don't see it. And what live action he has made, Ahsoka, that was pretty disappointing. That was not a very good series. Especially, and listen, we're also a little bit shaded right now because we just had Andor, which is in so every way superior to anything Dave Filoni's ever made. And I say this as a Dave Filoni fan. I love Rebels, and I really love, he's got the right attitude, and I think he's going to be a great director, a great live action director someday. But there's just no logic to it whatsoever. Anyway. All right, what's next?
Zach is back. Hey, John, the other day, James Gunn announced that he was in the process of writing the Superman sequel. However, he described it as not a straight up sequel. I'm getting world's finest vibes from his comment. Do you think there's a possibility for it?
I don't, again, I was asked this exact question twice in the last couple of days. I don't see them doing a world's finest until they have a Justice League movie. Because here's the problem. Superman and Batman are the two biggest heroes they have. If you do a world's finest first, then Justice League just feels like world's finest 1.5 with a few other extra guest characters. Again, I think Superman pops up. I think Batman pops up, all that kind of stuff. But I think their roadmap would have to have a Justice League movie before they do a world's finest. That's just kind of my thought. I don't know that for a fact. I could be totally wrong. I'm just guessing like everybody else, but that's my current thought. All right, what's next?
Sam Fisher, the announcement for Spaceballs couldn't have been more perfect. I hope they can get everyone back like Pullman, Moranis, and Zuniga. It better be called The Search for More Money. Mel, honestly, the 38-year payoff makes the joke even funnier.
I look, whether they call it The Search for More Money or whether they call it, I don't know, Rise of Helmet, or whether they call it, I don't know. I wonder if they'll bring Princess Vespa back. I think she's still alive.
Yeah. That was such a morbid.
I know. Well, I mean, John Candy's not.
No, I know.
Joan Rivers isn't with us. And yet
do they bring
Mel Brooks?
Hey.
Still kicking it, man, at 98 and still killing it.
I want to know, do they bring Michael Winslow back for some?
Oh my God, yeah. Yeah, and a couple of the Spaceballs themselves could still be in it. Like, was it Colonel Asshole?
Right.
Let's bring him back. I'm surrounded by assholes.
First class. Private first class.
First class asshole, sir. Yeah. So again, I don't know what they're going to call it. I almost don't care at this point. I don't think they have to call it The Search for More Money, because again, as a 30-plus-year-old movie that a lot of people today haven't seen, that would be, to put an inside joke in the title might not be the best move, but I'd be all for it. All right, what's next?
All right, Uber Goo has a very specific image in his head for Wonder Woman. What up? I think Wonder Woman should be played by a buff-ass chick. Don't give me no Victoria's Secret supermodel. I want a CrossFit girl who could fold me like a pretzel and throw me across the room. And I'm 210. I know what I'm saying.
Well, remember, Wonder Woman's strength doesn't come from her physique. It comes from her magical powers and being born of Greek deity. Right?
As a child, she was probably already very strong.
Yeah. I mean, and one of the things is, especially with modern techniques, like we saw, I forget the name of the kid playing He-Man.
Right, Galatzine,
right. Like, that kid was in shape when he did that movie, that rom-com with Anne Hathaway. He was in good shape, yeah, but he was no He-Man. They turned him into He-Man. You give the right Hollywood trainers the right supplements, you give them 8 months with somebody who's already in shape, they can do wonders. They can do wonders.
Yeah.
So, like all the actresses we named today, their job is Hollywood, man. They keep themselves in great shape. Now you put them with the right trainers and give them a dedicated mission. In 7 months, we need to put 10 pounds, 15 pounds of muscle on top of this already in shape frame you have. Yeah, I mean, I used to think it was harder to do it, but they've been proving it more and more. They can, I mean, look how fast Hugh Jackman got back into shape. Again, it didn't do it in weeks, but 6, 7 months, he got himself back into Wolverine shape. So I'm not terribly concerned about that.
I always look at, from Eternals, Kumail Nanjiani. He got really fit. He got big, and he was always just like a doughy nerdy roles. You know what I mean?
By the way, Culture in our live chat, guy, if you can find this, bring it up. Culture Hero says, John, your logic doesn't work.
Oh, I just found
You
it.
basically have a Justice League movie with this Superman film. No, you do not. What the fuck are you talking about? This is not remotely a Justice League film. Like this is a world that has a bunch of superheroes in it. That doesn't mean every time you come into this world, this is not a Justice League. If you don't have Batman there, and you don't have Wonder Woman there, and you don't have Aquaman there, and you don't have Flash, it's not a Justice League movie. There are other heroes in it. Every movie has 50, 60, 70 supporting characters in it. Just because a couple of these supporting characters are named, this is not remotely a Justice League movie at all. This is a Superman movie. Yeah, you're going to get 10, 15 minutes of Mr. Terrific. Yeah, we're going to get 10, 15 minutes of Guy Gardner. But this is a Superman movie. This is not a Justice League movie remotely. Like, not even in the ballpark. Anyway. All right, what's next?
Chip Crisper with a two-parter. Hey, crew, a lot has been said about tone in the new DCU. Gunn has mentioned a few times now that this new universe will have plenty of different tones throughout its films and series. We can see this tone shift now with Superman versus Creature Commandos. Personally, I can't wait for Marvel and Sony to make a new deal for the ultimate half-hour buddy comedy.
I think those are... Oh, no, that's 2 of 2. You're right.
Yeah, sitcom starring two of the most overpowered villains sharing an apparent apartment together. The show would be called Null and Void. So much black goo, bring on the filthy.
Null and Void. Those are both Marvel characters, though.
Yeah, he's saying in the Marvel, he'd like to see something like that. Tonal shift where you can.
Okay, the title writes the show for itself, right?
Yeah.
Null and Void. Yeah. Okay, that's clever. I like that. Regarding tones, yeah. See, that's the thing. In our world, in our real world, different things you go to. One thing you go to on Friday night, you're going to be in a part of our world that has one tone. Different thing you go to on Saturday night could be a part of our world that's a totally different tone.
Sure.
A cinematic universe should be filled with different tones. Different movies should play up different parts of that. I wouldn't want a cinematic universe where every single movie felt like whatever this Superman movie is going to feel like. I don't want every single movie to feel like Robert Pattinson's The Batman. The tone for Robert Pattinson's The Batman was perfect for The Batman. The tone for Superman is going to be great for Superman. But yeah, one of the things James Gunn is going to have to make sure he works very hard at is exactly that, to make sure that in this world that you're creating, a world will have many different tones, and so should your stories. And I hope he's able to pull that off. All right, what's next?
Okay, here's our last from Sam Fisher. The only thing I know for sure about this Spaceballs 2 movie is that Mel is going to make a joke about how Mel Brooks is the only actor they could ever get even close to the age of yogurt. I have to admit, when I heard about this, I was like, they don't really have to age him.
No, that's true. He's just yogurt. I'm not going to lie. I have severe reservations about this movie being good because, again, that type of comedy, and we've got Naked Gun coming, but that type of comedy, nobody's been able to do it well for like 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I think part of it is that it just doesn't play the same today the way it did back then. So I'm not sure that this movie's actually going to be, I don't know if it's going to be good, but I'm still excited for it because I love Spaceballs. And you bring back Dark Helmet, and you bring back Lone Star, and you bring back Yogurt, and hopefully they're going to be able to do it and do it great. I have some doubts about it, but I don't care. I'm still going to be excited to see it, and I can't wait for this thing, man.
Yeah.
All right. Do we have any questions from our members?
Nope, because I messed up and I forgot to post it.
Oh, well, that's all right. I got to go see Materialists anyway.
Oh, nice.
So now I can actually have a few minutes to kind of relax a little bit before I go off to go see Materialists today. So anyway, guys, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show podcast. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in the questions. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it. And all of us involved with the show, thank you guys so very much for your support. Hey guys, don't forget to come on back and join me and Rob again tomorrow. We'll look forward to seeing you then. Keep your eye open a little bit later for my out of theater reaction to Materialists. And also, guys, make sure this weekend you go see How to Train Your Dragon. It's really good. Anyway, guys, for Jonathan Voico,
See you guys later.
my name's John Campea. Thanks a lot for being here, guys. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.